We're going to start the Addison Township Park Recreation Committee meeting. All members present: Rod Blazik, Dave Kostick, Charlie Perinian, and call to order 7:35. So with that, let's do a review of the agenda.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good. Charlie, do you want to read the minutes from our last meeting, July the 11th?
Okay. Here they are. I thought we might have to have a commercial in between. These are the draft minutes from July 11th. And the meeting started at 7:35 p.m. Approval of agenda, we all voted to approve. Approval of the June 6th, 2016 meeting minutes, we all voted yes to approve. Approval of bills, Rod, $84. Dave made a motion to approve the $84 for Rod. Chuck supported. All voted yes to approve. Old business. Well for washing and cleaning in the basement at Arnold School. To be continued. Install new light poles at Watershed Preserve East parking lot. We are ready. Rod asked Chuck to purchase 2 sonotubes, 18 to 20 inches in diameter and 7 feet long. Purchase 2 metal locking cabinets to store restroom supplies and trash bags. Rod will get it done. We will give our rangers a key. Garage doors and repairs to the Lake George Nature Park barn. Soon. Lake George Nature Park handicap certified dock and trail improvements. We will get quotes soon. Vote to purchase small metal signs for both parking areas stating "Park open sunrise to sunset" with Township Ordinance number 200 at bottom. Rod made a motion for the committee to purchase the signs. Dave supported the motion. All voted yes to approve. The committee would like these signs to be made and installed as soon as possible. New business. Distribute our list of rangers watching Watershed Preserve for 2016. Handed out to everyone present. Public forum. Ranger Workday, June 18th. Carol Benz, Michelle LeCouey, Dave Kostick, and Chuck Perinian were at Lake George Nature Park and performed trail maintenance to the lake, spreaded topsoil, and brush hogged the lawn area. A few days later, Ranger Art Burney weed trimmed the entire area. Thank you.
Very nice.
The WAM Community Service workers and Chuck installed the new park sign and provided grounds maintenance. Rod said we need to prepare the site and pour the cement floor for the garage to store our tractor at Watershed Preserve. Chuck and Dave agreed. Meeting ended at 8:10 p.m. All voted yes to end meeting.
Good. Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is the supervisor's report. The township supervisor's not available today. So next on the list would be approval of bills. Have we any invoicing that needs to be forwarded?
Yeah, I have, for park supplies, I have $199.63, and half of it was for those 2 sonotubes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we bought some a new pair of loppers because we were running low on loppers. We bought them, and we had to buy a new head for one of our trimmers. It broke when the community service people were out, and then we had a few small gasoline purchases.
very good. So we have an invoice for $199.63 total.
Yeah, total was
All right,
199.
I'd like a vote on approval on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we got all three approved.
Someone's got to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to
There you
approve
go.
the bills.
All right, thank you.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All approved. Okay. From there, we go into old business. We're still leaving the water in the basement at Arnold School for time being. We'll have a look at that. The new light poles, the cables still have not been ran yet by Addison for us. Most of the paint's washed off. I'll go back over there in the next few days and spray some more paint so they know where we want it. As soon as that gets done, we can look at putting the poles in and securing that as a final.
And just to add a note to that, the township has been provided the quote for the cable.
Good,
So we just have to
okay.
wait for Sherry to go ahead and place the order,
Good.
and we can move forward with that.
Charlie, if you want to give her put a check on that.
Yeah, we will.
Over the next week, we can see where we're at with that.
Okay, so you said that we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And Dave said he's got a quote in, or he's got a quote in for the materials.
Yeah. Yeah, we just need the township to approve the purchase, and then Dave will secure it, and then we can, whether Addison comes in or not, we can backhoe and get those tubes dropped in and try and get those poles prepped.
Yeah, they said to us, and I think Dave's aware of it too, that it's possible that Addison might foot the bill for the materials. They might just say, well, we got it on the truck.
Okay.
The township's been nice to them, and so they might just donate. We don't know.
Okay,
We don't know. I think it's going to be last minute on that.
Yeah.
Everything to do with that's going to be last
All right.
minute.
Well, and then there's one other piece to this, and that's the actual cement that we fill the sonnet tubes with.
yeah,
So, once we have a better idea of when this is gonna actually happen, if DTE is gonna actually, go ahead and donate cable and go ahead and trench the holes for us, we need to find that out so we can gauge when I can, get the cement contractor involved. Because we wanna try to do that all,
Yeah,
within the same time frame.
yeah.
yeah, because if we go out there, we should be able to finish, bury all that, tubes, level them, and then have that cement poured in the same day,
Yep. Okay.
so.
Yeah.
All right,
From talking to her, she would also like to get it coordinated so we know what's going
Yeah.
on. But she has no clue on how they're going to proceed with this, how or when.
well, if it waits much longer, we may as well just do it and do it ourselves and be finished with it. We'll see what happens here by the end of this month. Otherwise, when we start getting past September, we're going to be hard pressed to try and get that in this year.
My thoughts are, I think that we should have her call them up.
Yeah.
Call them up and just nicely ask, where are we at with this business?
Yeah, and if she can't get a direct answer, I'd say just buy the material and let us just schedule what we need to and get it done.
Right, I agree.
So maybe I should put in the minutes that we would like Sherry to
Yeah.
call, we would like
Yeah.
Sherry to call DTE to get an idea where we're at with the materials and when they're gonna do it.
Yeah, and if they can't give her a date, then just order the cable we've got and we'll do it ourselves.
Okay. If we put it in the minutes, then it will get done.
Okay. Next item on the list is the split rail or boulders over at Lake George. With the road done, we should, being pulled down and reworked, we should be able to get to that. When I finish moving some of these logs with my trailer, I'll pull in over there and we can just flip some of those large stones in from the front into my trailer and drop those off one day.
Well, that's
And,
entirely up to you. We'll do whatever you tell us, because that's very gracious on your part to spearhead that, because that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hard work, and we're
Well,
willing
it's
to
easy
pitch
for me
in.
because I sit on the tractor and I just point, so,
Yeah.
Can you get down there?
yeah.
You can get in?
Yeah, what we'll end up doing is, there's a lot of boulders between the shoulder of the road and the parking lot, I can get in there and move those things around. I can put a trailer up there and just drop some of those in. And that way, yeah, hopefully we can get enough cleared out that we'll be able to cut that front and keep that down. But trying to do it right now with all them boulders in there is just dangerous. It's, flip you over and you don't know where that mower deck is at either. So we'll get that addressed. Lake George doors, the overhead doors for the park barn. Charlie, any updates on that?
No, we're still waiting. I did ask a couple times about them, and everybody involved got asked the same question, when it might be done or when they might get started on it. And the people that were going to install them, from what I understand, are kind of busy, but they definitely didn't forget about us.
Okay.
So we just have to wait a little while longer.
All right, so Sherry will stay current with that then. Lake George Nature Park, the handicap dock and trail improvements. Charlie, you've got on here, get quote for the dock. I know that you went and looked at the one the other day. You want to tell us what you see?
Yeah, I went and found Lost Lake. Art said it was on Predmore Road, close to Lake George, so I went over there and I found that. And that's a heck of a dock. And we don't need. I don't think we need one that elaborate. It's rather long. It's also for handicapped kayak people. It's not actually, and that's another thing that we have to go over. It's not actually handicap certified. That's not I'll get back to that in a minute. I got the information of the company on an information board at the dock of who to call and their website. I called the company up. I got the name of the local distributor that sells the docks. I placed a phone call to him. I've talked to him twice. Last Thursday, he sent out some information. We haven't got it yet, but he sent out some brochures on these docks. I lightly discussed with him last Thursday, and again, he called me back today to see if I got the brochure. And he wants to meet with us in the near future, but we need to do a little homework before we meet with him. He wants to meet us at the site at Lake George Park, but he wanted us to take some water measurements. And actually, he told me today that now he remembers talking to a former Chairman Joe last fall about this. And it got late in the year.
Yeah.
And he asked Joe, he says, to go further with this, he goes, if you want me to give you a quote and go out there and meet you, he says, you got to give me some water measurements so I know how far we're going out and how deep the lake is. And so what we might need to do is go out there with a boat. I was going to ask Dave to help.
Sure.
Because Dave's good at this. And ask Dave to help. And we'll go out there with a boat and a string and a rock at the bottom and take some measurements, like 10 feet out, 20 feet out, and 30 feet out. That should be enough, I think.
And actually, I think we can do one better. I've got one of those pendulums with the point.
Oh, yeah.
And what we can do, I've got over 100-foot line on it. We can mark the line up like we saw at the seminar last week. We can go ahead and mark it up, and we can get a fairly accurate measurement.
Good.
That's what we need to do.
Okay.
He wants that before he meets with us, so he can give us some ballpark prices when he's out there talking to us. And he told us that it's great that we want a handicap accessible dock. Another name for him is, I think it's American Boating Association. They have ABA. Ever hear of that? Okay, ABA approved dock. Okay, and those, and then a sign handicapped accessible. That's okay, but an actual handicap certified. He said he doesn't know if he's ever really actually seen one.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment to that. That would be ADA compliant. All right, that's the correct term. And for something to be ADA compliant, it's to put it mildly, it's a lot of bureaucracy. It's a lot of paperwork. And we would have to do research, and it's one of those deals where in order to get ADA compliancy, you have to actually apply for it. All right, there are certain things within each industry that determine what's compliant and what's not. I think we have to be very careful about the way we word that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah,
And we leave it at handicapped accessible and leave it
Yeah,
at that.
exactly.
then.
Yeah.
So we're-
Yes.
yeah.
I
We're
was
not,
always told that you had to make a reasonable effort. That's what you had to do, make a reasonable effort. Okay? You know, because it's so limited use.
Right, right.
Correct.
But, you know, like, over at Stony, when they did their handicap ramp down there, you know, they took and they paved it all the way down with asphalt and all that. And I was told that that wasn't actually necessary because it was a large expense, but you have to make a reasonable effort.
Well,
Charlie, I don't think 30 feet's gonna get you out far enough either. You know, you say take increments at, you know, 10, 20.
well, we go 40 feet too, and
yeah,
And you gotta get it out past the lily pads.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good, what, 50, 60 feet out there? would you
I would
say?
think close.
I would honestly say between
Yeah.
40 and 50 feet.
Measure it, see.
Well, let's take 10-foot ones to 50 feet.
But what
That's
we'll
easy
do
to
is we'll make some measurements, we'll do them in 10-foot increments, and, you know, we'll determine where we're at once we clear the pads. The only limiting factor there is that indeed is a kettle lake, and that drop-off might be 60 feet deep.
That's, you might.
It might not be?
Floating dock if you're gonna go up that.
Correct.
You know, the last section can be floating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he talked about reasonable things. He talked about aluminum ramp going to the front of the dock. Foot railings, he says those are good to have. And he thought that actually 4 or 5 feet wide would be best. And it doesn't necessarily have to be teed off at the end.
right.
And
Good.
so I think what we should do, though, is follow his directions, and when the literature comes, I'll share it with you guys so we can see
Yeah.
what it's all about. And then before we make any appointments with him, we'll do what he said, and we'll go out there and we'll take some measurements so we can give him that information.
Sure.
And then we can make an appointment to see him, and when your schedules permit,
Sure.
and get a
There's
quote.
several different fishing docks close by here. You know, there's one over on Seshball and Independence and Lake 16 over there.
Any of them still have wheels on them?
That one jets out pretty darn far, that Lake 16.
Right.
Yeah. And I believe from what I can remember, that one floats.
Do they pull those in and out, or do those stay permanent?
Pardon me?
Do those come in and out, or do those stay permanent?
I believe, well, yeah, the Lake 16 one is out there permanently because it's got those black, I think polyethylene floaters in
Oh,
it.
right, right.
And then it's
right.
got,
I'm mistaken.
it's got
Okay.
planks that are bolted to the tops of them.
Okay.
So,
All right, well, Charlie, did you want to set a date or just follow up? You guys get together on that?
Yeah,
And,
well, Dave and I'll get together, and we'll let you
Okay.
know when we're going to do it in case you're free.
Real good.
And we'll get that taken care of. And meanwhile, I'll wait for the brochures to come in so we can share that information and see
Okay.
what these docks look like.
okay.
And then once we get that done, then we can call him up and make an appointment to see him.
Good.
And then he can give us some hard figure
Yeah.
quotes on what a dock will cost, because he knows
Excellent.
how deep it is.
So we can get that done this year then, and see where we're at for, like, maybe even a spring
And
install.
and this is twofold, and as we're doing that and going through that process, we'll get the trail touched up and lightly bulldozed where it needs to
Yeah.
be, and then talk about what kind of material to put on that, so when we get the dock, the trail's almost done, and we don't have to wait another 6 months.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, Charlie, thank you for that update. Next, one of the things I wanted to mention was the participation. We all went to a DNR training course on invasive species last weekend, and that was really a good course. Tom, Chris, Dave, Charlie, and myself all went, and it was about a 5-6 hour day. And the U of M through
Actually, Michigan State.
Michigan State, Michigan State University. Close, gonna get in trouble there.
Oakland County Parks.
Yeah, in conjunction with Oakland County Parks put it on, and it was a pretty informative class. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending that went, too. It's always good to see all that interest and learn something at the same time.
About the raffle.
And then while we were there, we had a raffle, and Tom.
Ranger Tom won the
Pachalik
raffle.
won the raffle, so we'll end up posting this probably, I'm gonna suggest probably Lake George over there where it's the most easiest to pull a boat in, you know, so it's basically, turn it towards the Bernies. It's basically the aquatic invasive plants and species, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank
So-
you, Tom, for winning it and donating it to the park.
All right. So from there, we're into new business. We're looking at installing the park signs, scheduled hours, sunrise to sunset at East, West, and Lake George. Those signs are going to be available here very soon, Charlie.
Well, Sherry ordered them from Ranger, or from Michelle,
Yeah.
and,
So we should have them probably in the next 2-3 weeks, I'm guessing.
well, actually, it's any day.
Okay.
It's any day.
Excellent.
And we just have to decide how we want to mount them, and actually, we got draft photos of what they're going to look like. We only had 4 aluminum backings that we could recycle. And so we decided before we were going to make 6 signs, but 2 were going to be spares. So we're just going with the 4, and we don't have any spares. And 2 signs are for watershed preserve in the east parking lot where it will be under surveillance. The other 2 signs, one was for Lake George and the other one was for Watershed West. And these are the ones that we're getting. I'll show them to you
Very
guys.
good. Very good.
Is that okay?
Yes.
And it's got the ordinance down below, so if people
Yeah.
are staying in there, the sheriff
A little bigger
gonna,
than that.
yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna be about this size.
Yeah.
They're made to be-
Not to scale.
they're made to look like no parking signs, that's what we wanted.
We'll get a big sign that says, "Look here," and then we'll get that little one just.
And fun, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, thank you very much. So with that, now we'll look at providing information at the new Lake George Nature Park sign. What information can be displayed? One of the things that would be beneficial is, of course, the signs we're talking about right now. Then we could probably do another sign like that, which is a map indicating the property lines as we have at Watershed West. I would suggest that, and then a few other signs that will be, we'll have plenty of room on the board to add future signs as we need them. This park is going to be more set up towards family and use of the barn, so the sign that we made is a full 4x8 sheet of boarding. So if we need more signs, we'll have plenty of room to work on it. And in the meantime, I'll start looking at some of the diagrams I had when we were going through for the grant. And if I have something that's acceptable to make a PDF to print out for a site layout, then I'll get that done. And see if we can't start working on a total overall map site for that location then.
That would be nice, yeah.
Okay, I'll
That's-
see what we have.
Yeah, that's one thing that's for sure that should be on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so I agree. Then the last piece we have on here for public forum is move forward on various Lake George Nature Park projects. And we've got a number of them over there, as we noted earlier. the overhead doors on the barn, the sign work. If the Whammers, you get a chance too, and they want to paint that sign one color,
That's true,
I'd
yeah.
say go ahead and get that done, and then I can put on that slate, and then we can start mounting the other signage and billing on that sign.
Would you be happy, we have some of that brown paint, that
Yeah.
brown
Yeah,
stain
that'd be
from
fine.
those posts at Watershed
Yep,
Reserve? You
that'd
good
be
with that?
perfect. Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be perfect.
That'd be a good job for him.
Yeah, yeah.
I can have them a couple of them do trimming, and a
Yep.
couple of them do raking, and then a couple of them paint that sign
Absolutely.
frame all at the same time.
And then once we get that done, we can come in over there and try and get those rocks put around where people are parking up on that grass and creating some troughs.
You know, just a quick note on that, Rod, with the rocks, it might not be a bad idea for us to surround those posts that hold that sign up with
Yeah,
rocks as
I was
well.
thinking that as well, yeah.
Just in case somebody
We'll do the same
were to
thing.
want to accidentally back into the sign or drive
That's
forward into
got
the
a lot of
sign.
work into it. I'd hate to see that thing get busted.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But,
the sign's, well, it's a pretty strong sign, though. They're
yeah.
always gonna get busted.
I was through the park last week, and the trails were quite heavily grown over. I spent about 8 hours in there cleaning up all the trails, so if you have a chance to go through there, you'll see it's all cut back down again, real nice. And all the trails were pretty much hit. The north trail that comes all the way around the north end and then back around where it comes in off of the main trail, about 300 feet, the windstorm came through there, and it looks like a little twister came in, and it spindled off about 12 of those pines, about 40, 50 feet in the air, and the tops all dropped right down on that trail, so I couldn't come all the way through. There was another large one down across in front of Perch Pond. After you come up, you couldn't cross through.
Was that-
So I
was
went
that a
in with
birch?
yeah, that was a large birch.
Yep, saw it.
And I took the chainsaw in there and I cut all of that off, opened it all up, and there were about 6 other trees in the area I cleared out. So the whole park has had a good going over for the mowing and cleaning up, and I think that you'll find it much improved. And then at the back side of Perch Pond, I cleared a lot of those autumn olives and that nasty tangled up mess of a stuff that's in there. And it made it a real nice fishing spot for people to come around to the backside now so they can see into that and enjoy that. So anyway, and then Charlie's been keeping all the trimming up around the schoolhouse and the like as well too. So it looks to be in fair shape, even though Rochester Road, you still have access to it. There's not been quite as much traffic as we usually have.
You gotta take the detour to get to the.
Yeah, you just about do,
Come
yeah.
up the main road there by your house.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the signs say it's accessible from the north.
No, you gotta go take a detour.
Yeah, between the
Yeah.
detour and the deer flies, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of visitors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so. Well, with that, we are into public forum. Public forum. Any,
Chris and I, when we walked through there last week, there was garbage cans was all overflowing by Perch Pond.
oh, were they?
Yeah, Are
Okay.
we supposed to handle that, or what's the deal?
Well, what we can do is, I pull the tractor in over there, and I can throw that bag into the front bucket and drive it out, and then just drop it off for the garbage man.
Free all over the places.
Yeah, so we'll throw a new plastic bag in there. I'll make note to try and do that this week, get over there and clean that up then. Thank you for that. Any other public forum?
There was a couple things I was gonna bring up if no one else had anything
Sure,
to say.
sure.
All right, one thing that I found, when we went for that educational class at Independence Oaks Park, they were showing us, like, we walked around the park, we went down by the lake, and we were at the lake, and I was looking at some of the vegetation, and I found that they have their share of autumn olive bushes, and they have their share of oriental bittersweet, and I talked to a couple people over there about that, and they said all they can really do is just keep it all trimmed down, because there's really no good way of eradicating it. You can't get rid of that. And so we're not the only people that have that stuff. And in fact, I think it's a little newer to our area than
Yeah.
it was down there.
Yeah.
It looked like over there it was more infested with both.
I ended up, talking of that bittersweets, it's getting so thick into the park area in some places now. I went in with that tractor, you know where the old farmhouse was at? I took that tractor up into there, and I kind of went down what used to be an old path there. And I cut a
Directly
nice...
behind it, right?
Yeah, a nice path in, and you can go back, and now it gives you a sight in there. You can see those bittersweets have just covered over everything inside there, and it's a darn mess. That stuff, I don't know what we'll be able to do to control it. That'll be somewheres down the road, but
Did that ever come up at Michigan State about the autumn olive and all that stuff?
yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's,
they say, anything?
no, they have methods on kind of keeping it in remission, and,
Pretty much like what we've done all along.
and really, the only cure for saving a site is really to go in there and till it all up and spray chemical herbicide all over everything, and then start from scratch. A good area of what that stuff looks like when it takes over is right here out this window, Labode Park. Down there, nothing else grows but that Oriental bittersweet, and it just is overtaken everything.
And when it starts spindling around, it chokes everything out and just keeps going.
You know, and the problem with using the herbicides, not all herbicides, but most of the ones that are effective, is it starts to affect the reptiles and amphibian community. The frogs start to disappear. They don't like the environment that they're in, they leave. So,
You know, Jim Guy, he was just south of Metamora there on 24th. He went in there with bulldozers and all that, and they just ripped everything right out of there.
Yeah. It's like that Phragmite. Also on the north side, I took the tractor down in there and I cut a path down in, so you can go right into that Phragmite. And you can see it's like a jungle of, nothing can grow up in between that stuff.
Yeah,
And
those
again,
plants take over.
the only thing they said they can do is spray herbicides onto it. But, but then the problem, it just comes right back.
yeah,
with
the
it.
roots don't die.
Yeah.
Comes back every...
Yeah, so what they have to do is in the fall, when the sap's coming down to the trees, they spray that so it takes that sap down and that toxin with it, and it hits those roots. Those roots are almost like a quarter inch hemp rope.
Yeah.
They'll grow right over top of asphalt, 20, 30 feet, just shooting off. And the problem is that if you don't get that shoot regenerates itself. It only takes a stick about that big a root, and it just regenerates and keeps growing out. I mean, the stuff is tough stuff. But anyway, we've got our fair share of it, and not that misery loves company, but it's getting to be a pretty large problem all across the board.
That was all cattails.
Yeah,
That was all Phragmite.
yeah, yep.
Well, the landscape is changing.
So, any more public forum?
Just that it's a very nice match. I would really like to see this.
Oh, excellent.
And, I'll make a couple copies and put them in a box. That box is still there.
Yeah.
Well, we tried, the box at the park, we tried 2 or 3 days a week, try to put
Yeah.
3 or 4 in at a time.
Yeah.
We found if we put a whole bunch in there, then they're all gone.
Yeah.
But we try
They
to
just
keep
get
it
tossed, yeah.
filled. And Sherry makes them for us at the township here.
Okay.
And the only other thing I was gonna just maybe bring up is, after some of this construction's over, we're gonna have to make some new park signs, so some of our watershed preserve signs
Yeah,
got decimated.
Okay.
all right. Well, with that,
And we have to remember that we had 2 nice large signs, and we have to remember to get those
Right,
back.
right,
Because those
right.
signs cost us, I think, like $500 or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
the park entry signs. Well, that's going to be quite a change on Rochester Road, so we'll see what happens between now and the end of the year here. But with that public forum closing, I make a motion for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting completed at 8:10 PM.